Hey guys, it's Ben the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin, and today I have a video for you talking to you about how to identify Friedberg numbers on currency. And so you're going to say, well, what are Friedberg numbers, Ben? And so we're going to go ahead and back up here a little bit and take a look and see the number one indicator for U.S. currency is a book by Arthur L. and Ira S. Friedberg. And what's really nice about U.S. currency is that we have a unified numbering system. So unlike coins where PCGS, NGC, the gray sheets all have their own numbering systems, the Friedberg numbering system is consistent. So what you may notice is when you look at two notes that look alike, and you'll see that maybe they trade at pretty different price points, or maybe you've seen they have a different FR number, Friedberg number, and you don't know why. We're going to talk about the probably the two most common reasons why that happens, and just use a whole bunch of fun examples because we've got some things to look at here. So the U.S. currency is divided into type by what the legal type of note is. So for example, you will see they will be divided into things like refund certificates, silver certificates, and you will see things that say legal tender notes, national currency, so there's a whole bunch of different things, and they're divided that way first. So you start with finding the correct type of note. So this note here is a treasury note. Now you may need to use an index of some kind, or if you thumb through an actual green sheet, this is the green sheet. It's just a price guide that people use to help you understand the market value on things. You'll have to look for a note that actually says that it is a treasury note. Then this is a smaller series, the treasury notes. Not a lot of notes are treasury notes. So we're going to go ahead and grab our Friedberg book, and we're going to go to the treasury notes series, which are actually tucked in right after. As if I was good at this, I'd actually have my bookmark be in the right spot, and I wouldn't be flipping through pages right now while you guys wait with bated breath to find out what in the world is a treasury note. So treasury notes are actually kind of fun because they're also called coin notes. They were passed under a legal act in 1890, and so you see this design with our good friend Stanton on there, one of the most recognizable faces on currency. The beard he was well ahead of his time, and you see that they made an 1890 series and an 1891 series, and so they actually have two different reverses, which makes this one of the things that delineates the two notes. So if you look at the two notes right away and you just see this part here, just the front of the note, then you might get confused, and then you look at the back of the note, you're like, oh, okay, there's multiple series here. The next thing that you're going to do is look at signature combinations. This is what really starts to distinguish. We're going to go close again here. This is what really starts to distinguish the different Friedberg numbers. So you see number 350, 351, 352, and these all are the same series number. Well, here we have some of the things that can make them different. Of course, they have the seal size, but the signatures are the number one thing that you're looking at here. So we can either have a combination of Rosecrans, Nebeker, Tillman, Morgan, Bruce, Roberts. So those are three combinations. So then what you can do is take a closer look here and see who signed this. So this is actually pretty easy to see. This is a Tillman Morgan. So this is fun. Treasury note, like we just said. If you haven't considered currency, there's lots of different ways to collect and things to look for. But of course, things that are coin related, here we go. I'm going to introduce you to a new term here. That term is coin. So you can find the coin notes. Also, this one says Morgan, so that's really fun. But getting back to it, the Tillman-Morgan combination is Friedberg 351. So we would write 351 down for that note. Let's go ahead and jump over to these gold notes that are right in front of us here. We got some really cool gold certificates. And let's look at the things that help distinguish some of those. So what's fun is that each series that was produced has a very different amount of notes produced, different quantities of signature combinations. So there's a lot of different things to look at here. So if we're using our book, we'll start to see right away we've got, first of all, you have different series numbers. So that's actually the year that the note was produced. Then your signature combinations, your seal, and then they have a pricing list over here. So one of the things that you notice here is that 1907 versus 1922. And that is one of those things where at first blush on your $10 bills that are actually gold certificates, these are actually payable in $10 in gold coins. That's why they were gold certificates. You'll notice that you do have one here that is a series of 1922, and then this one is a series of 1907. And one of the things that can be hard to locate is, if you're not familiar with them, is where the series numbers are. They vary from note to note. It would be kind of like if you had a mint mark in different places on different coins. So, but if they were actually different, they were the same series. So think about on your half dollars, 1916, 1917. So 1917, they switched over and they moved the mint marks so that they are on either the obverse or the reverse. So they would change sometimes the location of the series number on these. So then we can look here and say we've got the 1907. Like I said, we have the 1907, and this is going to be the combination of Napier and McClung, which, like, honestly, that was like my favorite tennis combo ever. So 1907, Napier and McClung. So this should be your 1169, which is what I had written down here on the edge. And so then you also notice that there's the same number twice, 1169, 1169 star. And then we're not going to get into A notes, that's a different thing right now, but star notes are for notes that actually just have, the star on there. So for a lot of you, you already know what a star note is. That is a replacement note. So pretty cool stuff. All right, let's move on. I'm going to move on to, let me find some notes here to divide your attention with, because one of the things that's really interesting is you can find a series of notes that have a lot of different signature combinations. So these are $2 bills from 1899, and these are silver certificates. Usually everything you need to know about a note is on the note. So if you take the time to actually look at the words and not get lost in the design, you can usually figure out, okay, this is under silver certificates, and it's a $2 bill, and eventually you can find that little faint series of 1899. This is the act of on the side, act of 1886, but series of 1899. And what you're going to see on these guys pretty quick is that for guys who collect them, one of the things that you can get into as deeply as you want to is signature combinations, because here you have Spielman White. All right, this guy looks just like it, but this is T.H. Burke. Parker Burke. And so what these signatures are is, as you would change roles from, in case we didn't already talk about that, because we didn't, the Treasurer of the United States and the Register of the Treasury. As those positions changed over time, Lyons, Roberts, as they changed, they got different signature combinations. So this is as time passes. So it helps you understand actually the order in which things were produced. And that is that Vernon and Treat. And so as we look here at the $2 bill from that series, you'll see all of those different signature combinations here. And so there's a whole bunch of them. And so some people, they just want to collect a type note. They're just going to go ahead and buy one example, whatever's the cheapest. But for the real in-depth shopper who's really trying to put stuff together, they're going to be looking for each of the different autograph combinations. All right, one more big thing to show you in the banknote world is going to be once you get to these national currency notes. And these national currency notes are really interesting because we already saw a bunch of signatures that you, in these previous notes that you'll see here again. T.H. Burke, there's a T.H. Burke, Elliot Burke, Elliot Burke. So, but the thing that's different on these notes here, as you look at all these guys, is the national notes have a different one of each of the Federal Reserve banks on them. So here you have three notes that are the same, but one's the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City, one's the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond, and one is Boston. By the way, in case you didn't know, Richmond is in Virginia. That is your lesson for the day on geography. So there's a secondary signature on these guys, the cashier and the governor. And so the cashier and the governor are going to be different for each bank, but also they're going to vary over time. So what you'll see is a whole bunch of signature combinations, and once again you can start to get into combinations that are more scarce. And that is, you'll start seeing lists of names and signature combinations that look like this. So this is on the $5 bills here. What do we got here? Some ones. So this is actually the Federal Reserve notes. This is not, let me go back. Here we go. Now we're in the national notes. So these notes that we were looking at, ironically enough, you know, these notes here are not called the Black Eagle. The 1899 silver certificate one is the Black Eagle, but this is, I think, my preferred eagle. I should just do a video comparing eagles on banknotes. Why not? But you'll see here, if you're going to go to Boston in the fall, you've got your T.H. Burke combination, T.H. Burke, but then T.H. Burke also has different bank signatures, Bullen Morse and Willett Morse. And then also with Boston now, not only T.H. Burke Boston, but you have Elliot Burke Boston with combinations. And so that starts to get, depending on how many different signers there were on any given bank over a period of time, what their turnover was, you'll start seeing lots and lots of different signature combinations. And so some of these different Friedberg numbers, oh, then you add stars to those, right? So that's why you'll see lots and lots and lots of Friedberg numbers when it comes to these national currency notes. But those are the things that distinguish, because first you find the T.H. Burke combination, then you got to look and find the Bullen Morse, that's what that one is. And then you'll end up finding the correct Friedberg number. And that is how you identify the Friedberg numbers based on signature combinations on these national notes. So those are the main things you've got when it comes to finding Friedberg numbers. You have these signature combinations that will distinguish things. Of course, you have absolute design changes where one design is completely different on the back than another. And then last but not least, of course, a major changeover is just going to be for date. So you'll have different date combinations on notes that actually look like the same banknote. All right, guys, if you have other suggestions about ways that Friedberg numbers may change that I did not include in this little video, please leave those comments down below. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm Ben the Coin Geek. You can subscribe by clicking on the owl button in the corner and watch more videos on the right side of the screen. Thanks.